live in high definition from the CBS 4 studios. This is CBS 4 at 5:30.
The people of Canutillo can go days without seeing deputies' cars. Today, they are seeing dozens of them, all because of a crime scene unfolding right around the corner from one of the most iconic restaurants in the borderland.
And that restaurant is Tamales Lupita's. You'll know that the area around there is usually very quiet. We turn now to Keenan Willard, who explains how this shooting turned deadly. Keenan?
Upon making entry into the house, the 20-year-old son.
We're now getting a first look at the teen police say shot and killed a 57-year-old man in northeast El Paso. The SWAT team arrested 17-year-old Arias Rutledge Wednesday night in far east El Paso. He's accused of killing Robert Noble. The shooting happened on Raymond Thayes Drive early Tuesday morning. That's near Hondo Pass in Diana. Rutledge is now jailed on a $1 million bond.
Jury selection starts today for a former Fort Bliss soldier charged with murder just 3 days into 2018. Cornelius Harrison, accused of shooting and killing 21-year-old Frank Hernandez. Passers-by found his body out on Old Stagecoach Road near Waco Tanks. According to the criminal complaint, Harrison thought that Hernandez had been stealing from him. Witnesses told detectives they knew Harrison was angry, but they did not expect him to open fire and kill Hernandez. There's also new information tonight on the death of a current Fort Bliss soldier. CBS 4 has confirmed that Sergeant Amy Colbert was killed on post Saturday. Her husband, who is also a Fort Bliss soldier, is currently in military custody. Special agents from the Army's Criminal Investigations Command have been called in to handle this case. Colbert had just returned to Fort Bliss from being deployed overseas. Well, we saw up to 100-mile-per-hour or greater winds blowing through the borderland yesterday. We saw a lot of dust then. Today, it's a whole lot of cleanup.
Yeah, CBS 4 at 5:30's Marissa Sines shows us the big mess left behind.
This tree that fell is a direct result of yesterday's strong winds. Thankfully, nobody was injured, but this is just one example of what's remaining around El Paso today, the cleanup.
On the west side, Luis Macias is busy picking up the pieces from his fallen palm tree. It's over 50 years old.
The homeowners aren't the only ones who have been cleaning up. Administrators over at Newman Elementary School in northeast El Paso called us and told us to come take a look at one of their big old trees up in the front of the school, now uprooted and being cut apart. You can see the crews got to work really quickly to try to get rid of it. You can see just how big that tree was when you see those men looking relatively small as they work to cut it back down. Kira.
Yeah, the winds that we saw yesterday definitely able to knock down some of those trees and also power lines as well. And here's a look at live conditions outside right now. Temperatures much cooler, back in the lower 60s. Notice those winds, though, really calming out of the north, anywhere between 5 and 15 miles per hour, and very dry outside with relative humidity dropping down to about 13%. But here's a look at some of those wind speeds that we did see yesterday afternoon. 102 is what San Augustine Pass clocked in at. Northeast El Paso clocking in at 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and even right here at the El Paso International Airport, about 60 miles per hour. Now, coming up in my full forecast, we're going to be talking about cooler temperatures if the rain returns for the weekend. Plus, I'll have the timing of our next wind event.
Today is National Pet Day. We asked you to chime in and share your pictures. Here's a look at some of the ones we've received. Catherine Mena sent in this picture of her kitty cat. It's named Shishimi. Nice little pose there. And Linda Pastrana sent us this picture of her dog. She tells us that they are the best of friends. Their names are Stella and Kaylee. And we want you to chime in. Just text CBS 4 to 95577. That will send you a link to the website where you'll be able to upload your photos straight from your phone.
All right, did you see the first cat that they had up there?
Yeah.
That's known as a Mexican hairless, because my grandma actually had one when I was little, and she named it, of course, Fea, which means
ugly.
Ugly in Spanish.
Aw, ugly kitty. But do they all sit so perfectly straight like that?
Fea didn't. She laid around all day and wait to be fed.
She was a lazy cat.
Yes, she was. Watch this story. You have to see it to believe it. A woman had to have 4 live bees removed from one of her eyes. This happened in Taiwan. The woman had been out pulling weeds around an ancestor's grave. She says she washed her eyes with water, but she kept feeling a severe pain. So she went to the doctor, who saw something that looked to be like an insect leg. It turned out there were 4 of them, sweat bees. They're all less than a 1/4 inch long. The bees like to feed on human perspiration and tears. Why? Because they're so high in protein content. Man, that freaks me out. Just gives me the shivers.
It gives me like the heebie-jeebies. Oh.
The heebie-jeebies. Up next, an unbreakable bond. The actions one water delivery man took that's now earning him the title of hero.
And a second wave on the way. The new caravan heading to the U.S.-Mexico border. That's all coming up next on CBS 4 at 5:30 on your side.
Live in high definition from the CBS 4 studios. This is CBS 4 at 5:30.
El Paso's Upper Valley is full of law enforcement tonight. The tiny town of Canutillo, the scene of a really big investigation, all because of sheriff's deputies opening fire on an armed man.
This shooting happened in a neighborhood that's typically quiet in the afternoon. CBS 4 at 5:30's Keenan Willard joins us now live on how this situation escalated really quick. We're now getting a first look at the teen police say shot and killed a 57-year-old man in northeast El Paso. The SWAT team arrested 17-year-old Arias Rutledge Wednesday night on the Far East Side. He's accused of killing Robert Noble. The shooting happened on Raymond Thea's Drive early Tuesday morning. That's near Hondo Pass in Diana. Rutledge is now jailed on a $1 million bond.
Jury selection has begun for a former Fort Bliss soldier charged with a murder just 3 days into 2018. Cornelius Harrison, accused of shooting and killing 21-year-old Frank Hernandez. A passerby found his body out on Old Stagecoach Road near Waco Tanks. According to the criminal complaint, Harrison thought that Hernandez had been stealing from him. Witnesses told detectives they knew Harrison was angry, but that they did not expect him to open fire and kill Hernandez. There is new information in the death of a Fort Bliss soldier over the weekend. CBS 4 has confirmed that Sergeant Amy Colbert was killed on post Saturday. Now, her husband, who is also a Fort Bliss soldier, is currently in military custody. Special agents from the Army's Criminal Investigation Command has been called in to handle this case. Colbert had just returned to Fort Bliss from being deployed overseas. The big news today, again, continues to be the weather. One day after we saw wind speeds topping 100 miles per hour, today is all about the cleanup. How did your house hold up?
My house was fine, but you know, the winds are still blowing really hard, but nothing like they were yesterday.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Our Marissa Sign shows us the big mess yesterday's winds left behind.
This tree that fell is a direct result of yesterday's strong winds. Thankfully, nobody was injured, but this is just one example of what's remaining around El Paso today.
You see what the homeowners are going through. They're not the only ones. Look at the folks outside of Newman Elementary School. That's in northeast El Paso. Remember that really big tree that used to be out in front of that school? It has been uprooted and is now being cut down. Crews working hard at that today to get rid of it. You can tell just how big that tree is when it's down on the ground and see those 3 men standing around it trying to get it chopped up to become firewood. Kira.
Yeah, that's right. Some of the wind gusts that we saw yesterday afternoon could uproot those trees and also down those power lines. We saw those wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. Nowhere near that today. A lot of us picking up on some of those peak wind gusts around 43 miles per hour. Also, we had some cooler air moving in the wake of that system. Highs today back in the upper 60s. Look at where we should be for this time of year. 77 degrees, so roughly 10 degrees below average for this time of year. Also, a cool start to the morning, 51 degrees. Outside right now, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies, currently 63 degrees, but notice the winds out of the west, 18 miles per hour, humidity at 12%. What that's telling us, it is still very dry outside, and even up the road in Las Cruces, dipping down into those upper 50s with that westerly wind around 22 miles per hour. So when you factor that in, it's actually making those actual air temperatures feel a little bit cooler. For tonight, though, we're looking at a clear sky, 47 degrees, wind gusts around 25 miles per hour. Las Cruces, a chilly night, 43 for you, breezy with that west wind. wind around 10 to 20 miles per hour. So by tomorrow morning, we're looking at an increase in that cloud cover from the west, going from partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. I'm going to keep in about a 20% chance for some spotty showers during the late afternoon hours due to that storm system diving in from the north and west. That rain chance will linger throughout much of the day on Saturday, and by Sunday, once that system kicks off to the north and east, we are back to sunny and also warm conditions here across much of the borderland. And we're also going to be talking about higher winds by the middle of next week. So enjoy those below average temperatures. We are back into the mid 60s to upper 60s on Saturday. Remember, we do have that 20% chance for some isolated showers. Breezy winds, wind gusts around 20 miles per hour. Upper 70s on Sunday, mostly sunny skies. So a really nice end to the weekend. And then back in those low to mid 80s with our next high wind event occurring on Tuesday afternoon.
Today is National Pet Day. We asked you to chime in and share your pictures. Here's a look at some of the photos we've received. Catherine Mena sent us this picture. This is her kitty cat, Shishimi. Look at how pretty, standing tall, sitting there. Well, Linda Pastrana sent us this picture of her dogs. They're the best of friends, she tells us. This is Stella and Kaylee. And we want you to chime in. Just text us CBS4 to 955.
Send us your picture.
Send us your pictures. I've read this all day. You'd think I've had it by now. All right, we'll send you a link once you text it there, and it'll go directly to your phone.
We've all met your dog now, Sky, who we all love. What was your first pet's name?
My first pet's name, Max.
A dog, cat, what? Horse?
German Shepherd, Maximilian is what we called him.
Nice.
You had horses.
Yeah, I had horses. I was lucky.
Did you name your horses?
Yeah, they were all registered quarter horses. Red J. Judd was my first horse.
Really?
Yeah, when I was 2 years old. And
All
now
right.
I can't even get up on a horse anymore. Here's a story you have to see to believe tonight. A woman had to have 4 live bees removed from one of her eyes. This happened in Taiwan. The woman had been out pulling weeds around a gravesite of one of her ancestors. She said she washed her eyes with water, but she kept feeling more and more pain, so she went to the doctor, and that doctor saw something that he thought looked like insect legs. He was right. 4 sweat bees were inside that woman's eye. They're pretty small, all less than a quarter-inch long, but it's 4 bees. Why did they go there? They feed off of human perspiration, her sweat, and her tears, all because they have a high protein content. You can open your eyes now. Oh, that was nasty. Up next, an unbreakable bond the actions one water delivery man took that's now earning him the title of hero.
And here we go again, a second wave on the way. The new caravan heading to the U.S.-Mexico border. Those stories coming up next on CBS 4 at 5:30 on your side.